Hi, this is you're listening to 102.3 FM, and this is WHIV, and we were in the great city of New Orleans, and this is My Monkey Mind, which is a show about brain cancer and being in your moment and being grateful. And I am here today with my very good friend Cecilia, and we're talking today about all that good stuff. Cecilia kind of navigated me through my cancer experience pretty early on. I was just coming out of hospital and I was very weak, and so I signed up for a yoga class, and she had a special class going. And you were telling me what it was earlier. I didn't really remember the name of it.
Therapeutic yoga.
Therapeutic yoga. As I remembered, everyone was pretty gimpy. There was a lot of child's pose, and Cecilia was just so nurturing. I felt like it was really somebody that was taking care of me. And coming from the medical side of things, where I was definitely meeting some caring people in the medical system, but you were also meeting some people that weren't so much. And so that was such a nice, just nurturing thing to partake of. And I would always get into my yoga. I loved my, child's pose. And and then I remember you got me onto blocks pretty big, like to open up the chest. And as things progressed, Cecilia also put in a lot of, I guess, just teaching about really positivity. And I'm not sure at that moment I was into Eckhart Tolle stuff as much, but a lot of stuff that Cecilia told me really paralleled with some of the other teachings that I'd heard elsewhere, and I just really connected to it. And of course I adored Cecilia, and then she invited me to do Reiki, and that was kind of like the ultimate of healing yoga class because she basically would then focus her attention on me, positivity, and it just felt really just so sweet to have someone caring for you and really, being so close and being so positive about your health. And it was really profound for me, and really changed a lot of my the last bits of maybe negativity that I was holding on to. And even so much, like a few little things I wrote down that I remembered was no fighting. Like a lot of stuff was pretty profound that Cecilia would call out on my rhetoric or behavior, that it wasn't healthy or as positive as it could be. And now I find myself constantly doing that to my friends or family, and I'm always trying to keep everything as, you just don't put things out there like that aren't healthy, positive, regardless of the situation or what somebody's doing. You don't resort to that kind of thing. And so Cecilia, what are some of the things that you looked at and just noticed right off the bat with healing cancers and so forth?
One thing is that always the person is rejecting the disease, rejecting the cancer, wanting to get rid of it in a more negative way.
Right, the fighting, like you're battling it.
You're battling it, and they use that terminology.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah.
Very much so.
Let's kill these cells,
right.
And let's get rid of this thing that so no-shows. And I encourage you to make friends with it.
Yeah, you did. I remember that one. Well, actually, it was kind of, Cecilia had a lesson where she had me basically, I was, eyes closed, I'm lying down, and to imagine my brain cancer, kind of like personifying it, going into my head, like into like a kind of fantasy or a dream kind of thing, of imagining and going to meet my cancer. And it was so cool because when I did it, and I remember my cancer was an old Italian man sitting at a little table kind of in like a cafe, but it was very kind of a dark cafe, but with like a open door. There's a light on the other side, and I went up to him, kind of like, listen, one of the things she taught me is like the cancer wants to partake of your light, and don't be too harsh, but they've partaken, they've had enough, and now you need to ask them to leave. So you're kind of like being a nice bouncer. And so I went up to this old Italian man. I said, listen, sir, I think you've had your time. Now it's time to leave. And I just kind of escorted him nicely to the door, and he went out.
Did he agree?
Yeah, he kind of did agree.
Yeah.
And for that was my my first cancer. Not to say that I have cancer right now, because I really don't know, because they haven't done a biopsy just because of the location. But the previous one shows no signs of reoccurrence on my latest MRIs. That space looks very null and void of any kind of cancers or anything. And then this other space is supposedly far away from it, but I don't know. It's brainstem, so. But yeah, I just really remembered that one. That was pretty profound. I think I wanted to do a painting of that one time, like this old
Yeah, that would be nice.
old cafe. But he was all dressed up, kind of in a suit. It may have had a vest on, I think, and looked really dapper, but and a really old gent, really really skinny, very unhealthy. I mean, not very unhealthy, but very aged, very old.
But another thing that I just heard you address to the cancer as my cancer. Do you remember that we have
I kind of forgot that part. Yeah.
own
Right.
that so much?
Was I talking about the first one, or was I talking about the second one?
Right now, you were just...
I did the mind?
Yeah.
Okay. So I have to make notes now, too, when she's talking.
We don't want to own it, because
right.
the things that you own, you want to keep forever.
Mm-hmm.
They become so attached to your being.
Right.
So we want to call it the, in a more neutral way.
The cancer, okay.
The cancer. And that way you can get rid of it in a different kind of way without having to use the term eradicated.
Okay.
So you want to be friends with it and then ask it to leave.
Well, as I understand, too, cancer is a very natural occurrence in the body.
Correct.
It's just, it is constantly being asked to leave by a healthy body. It's kind of like working out or something, where you make something weaker, it keeps your whole body system stronger. So it's like toughening us up in a way. And
we have a sentence that we use a lot in the healing modalities, and it's what you resist, persist.
Wow, I like that.
And the more we resist cancer, the more it's going to want to stay.
Mm-hmm.
So we want to not only make friends with it, but then let go of the attachment that we have with it.
Well, I've noticed too, like with the Eckhart Tolle thing, is like so much of this ego, we constantly perceive ourselves as our ego and not our deeper awareness.
Correct.
And so much of what happens with cancers and also any kind of injury or health issue, we so just start to identify that as us. Like, I'm a victim. This is my ailment. Gets you more attention. The ego loves being more, getting more attention and so forth. And you hold on to something like that. Yeah.
So we want to detach from that labeling and from that judgment.
Yeah. Well, so much of it, I guess everything in life is like that, right? Do we really own anything, right? Is it really anything mine? Exactly. I mean, it's kind of like more like you're leasing it or renting it for a little bit, right? Every single thing.
Yep.
It's funny. But yeah, I mean, it's so nice to have and I remember too, when I first started with the Reiki, my methodology was like, listen, I don't know if any of this does any bit of reality, but what's that thing called where it's like you take a drug, but it's not a drug, it's a placebo. Because I think that's the power of the mind and just your healthy, being happy and just perpetuating that kind of joy in your life is going to help regardless. Even if you're going to die, you're gonna go out kind of positive. And I was thinking another nature of like this process has made me think kind of maybe one of like the points of life is making peace with your moment, and part of that moment is when you when you're gonna die, and making really peace with that, where it's like, this isn't some bad thing. I mean, it's culturally, other cultures must not have that same rhetoric. And you'd think with like the whole like the Christian thing, like you're gonna go to heaven, so what's your problem? I don't know. I don't get it. Why don't everybody want to just die?
Well, everybody has to die.
Yeah, sure.
No matter what.
Yeah.
Everything to life is going to die.
Sure.
At one
and that's
point
kind of the beauty. That's kind of the beauty of it too.
So we need to come to terms with that reality.
Mm-hmm.
Everything that is born is going to die.
Right. I have kind of like I think my personal thing, like I have my own little crazy little thoughts, but I think it was like that our ego basically dies, our body dies, but that awareness, which is kind of separate, which most people wouldn't really associate that as themselves, because most people really identify with their ego, their hobbies, this passion, who they don't like, talking bad about somebody. I mean, like a lot of relationships are based on hate, like where you're loving because you can share your hate, and because it bolsters your importance or your thing like that, and it gets kind of making. I think I forgot my point on that one.
That's okay.
Yeah, it happens. But yeah, and the Reiki stuff was just so beautiful, and I just looked forward to every time coming together, because I'm gonna have Cecilia's gonna spoil me. It was kind of like that kind of thing. I was like, oh, that's so sweet. And
so then we moved into the medicine that you were taking.
Which
one are you talking about? The
Okay.
treatments that you were getting.
Were you talking about first time, second time, or we don't know?
The first time.
Okay,
the first time
okay.
you started, and what did we do? We became friends with the medicine.
See, I don't remember that part as much. I was not liking it. Was I still taking the chemo at that point?
Yeah.
Okay. That was really brutal stuff.
It was.
Yeah.
And it made you
That was the
feel
Avastin
so
CPT-11 cocktail. And I think they're getting good results. They've ditched one of them. I think they ditched the CPT-11 and are now just doing the Avastin. And,
it makes you feel so bad.
Yeah, so toxic. It's poison.
But it's very difficult for you to be grateful to it and for it.
Yeah.
And to accept it as a friend in your body.
Yeah. Well, it's so nauseating too. Like go through it. And that's like a gut wrenching thing. Everybody can identify with that. You're just so ill that it takes you out. But I was trying, right? Wasn't I trying?
No, you did really well.
Yeah, I really tried, and I really felt it. I really changed so much of my thought process.
Your perception.
Yeah. Like I was saying on the last episode that like I told my doctors, like I think I gave myself brain cancer, because basically I was so negative. When I was alone, I would cry, and that's why I thought I was depressed, and I was like, I was hiding stuff. It was just really, and I had so much negative speak that I couldn't get away. I had no tools to get away from my thinker, my monkey mind.
Your monkey mind.
Yeah, and monkey mind, like I said, just wants something to do. It doesn't care if it's the worst thing for its host. It loves attention, and it likes something dramatic. And that tends to be things that are really
and the
bad.
More dramatic, the better for the ego. Yeah, the
more dramatic. Oh, very much so. Either a victim or pumping itself up. It'll go either way. It doesn't care.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
It exaggerates.
Oh, yeah, constantly. But I love my monkey. No, that's fine. Well, I'll play it later. I wrote the song, My Monkey Mind, and it's all about that love affair with the monkey. You want your ego. It's so fun. I mean, an ego can be so much fun just with the joys of course, relationships, love. It tends to get kind of ego-y. Though I think like the true sense of loving someone is really accepting them as they are and being like where you want to be kind of around that, and accepting them for that. It's not judging them and accepting what is. And I think that because I was trying to give advice to friends, and then it made me think on the first show, because I was like saying, well, you just got to love yourself and see, I can't even remember what the other one was. It was like loving yourself and forgiving yourself.
And how about forgiving? We need to talk about forgiveness.
Very much so. And I thought, well, what does that really, like, I walked away from that. Well, that's kind of vague. Like, everybody has a different definition of kind of love, and really, what is forgiveness? I think it's about not judging.
Not judging. And accepting.
Accepting, yeah, the counterpoint to it. Very true, very true. Yeah. That's a good point. Because there's like if you're having a problem in life, you either need to change it, or like there's a thing, get away from it, or surrender to it. Yeah. And then you can repeat that. Like if you're having a problem, you don't have to just say, oh, I just gave up. You can go back to number one again, and you can try and change it, and then go. But it's also about surrendering and making peace with your moment.
Accepting.
Yeah. Because it is what it is. And every issue in your life is really perfect for you. It is a blessing, and it is your story.
A lesson.
Yes, and
to
a lesson.
Learn from.
Very much so. And to appreciate and be grateful for. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah,
whether
everything.
It appears negative.
Everything. The chemo that makes you all sick, cancer, dying. I mean, you know? Yeah. Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. Yeah, it really is. Yeah, I mean, I went through a lot. This has been kind of a fun experience for me because, God, I'm so much better off with cancer than I was without it. You know, it was a real blessing. I can't imagine it, like saying that really in a way, but yeah, ain't that fun. But
because you've evolved with it.
Yeah, well, it taught me things, and it opened doors for me that previously I didn't that were closed. So it's opened things. But I also have this thing where I don't think you can mess up your life. I really don't. I think everything, all these failures, if you keep messing up, you just need more time to do it. You're at your perfect place where you're supposed to be. Okay. Yeah, so it's all good.
And messing up is such a label.
Yeah, true.
Because we're really not messing up.
No, I agree. But that's how our culture is.
Yeah.
No, we don't need that. But yeah, so... But yeah, so much. I always get so happy when Cecilia's around. That's pretty fun. Because it's just so nice to have that kind of positivity. And it's so... It can be really... It can be trying going through and navigating hospitals, medication, with cancer, any kind of illness, really. With insurance, finding the right doctor. I had a big thing where I really wanted to be around nice... where I thought caring doctors. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to see some kind of spark there that they cared. And I also had a thing like, it was like doctors, lawyers, and I think I had somebody else. Some politicians. All of them should just do it out of love. They should be paid like a good living wage, but they should almost be like kind of, I don't know, saints of our community, of our culture, to help people. I mean, it's about caring and helping. And also, I think the legal system is berserker. Political system is berserker. They're trying to extract to make things so complicated. They love making things more complicated than it needs to be, like plumbers. Like I did some in-house at my property. I've done a lot of repairs and built things and did construction work that I really didn't know what I was doing. But I go on YouTube and look it up, and I always took the methodology. You know, if somebody else can do that, hell, I can do that. I mean, I don't care if I keep forgetting when I walk out one room what I was doing. I can make a list. And it was about being patient with myself and going back to not judging myself.
And forgiving.
And that helps so much where you don't get so frustrated. Yeah. Because then it gets the monkey mind going, you're so dumb. You forgot that. You can't remember what you're doing anymore. I mean, you can easily listen to that voice. Mm-hmm. And then it's like, if you don't know that you can and that's what another thing, and it goes back to what Cecilia was talking about, is not fighting things, is that you shouldn't get mad at your monkey mind or that voice in your head either.
Make friends with it.
Kind of like you listen to it, but it's more like kind of a silly child that can't really find peace with itself, and it's always doing something. So you kind of just, I don't know, just listen to it and just know that that's not really you.
Do you remember that we can address that monkey mind and ask it to yield and take a rest?
Okay.
Do you remember that part?
Maybe. I do remember with the Buddhist thing I'm talking about is the Buddhist kid that I saw talking about the monkey mind. He was lamenting that it was so difficult to meditate, that his mind always wanted to do something. So his trick was just to ask his monkey, are you breathing? And the monkey would spend like 1 or 2 seconds to say, am I breathing? And that gave him a 1 or 2 second of quiet. And he would take that as his little meditation. And he said, I just do that all day.
And I just advise you to...
But go back to what you were saying
yield.
About
Ask the monkey
okay.
to yield a little bit. Can you just take a rest for a second?
Mm-hmm. Do you find like that's your kind of practice? Or,
the monkey agrees.
You got a nice monkey, maybe. Well, it's like then I remember one time I was going through this process and I was like, God, why can't I just train my monkey? You know what I'm saying? Like, why can't we live together in peace?
Because they are in control.
Yeah.
The ego is the one that's in control.
Yeah.
That mind controls.
Yeah.
But if you can ask it to yield in a nice way, it's going to, at times, little by little, it's going to learn to just let you have a little respite.
It's like a little bit. Look, give me a little break.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember that. Oh, that was so exhausting back then.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I thought I was just going crazy. I really did. And it was just like running like you're almost like that hamster in the wheel or something. And it's like, oh, yay. Because you just get no break. I mean, no break. You're alone. You're away from nobody's giving you a hard time, but you're just driving it. Driving it in. And you're just like miserable. I mean, that's how I guess I told you that. That's how I got diagnosed. I was trying to get on antidepressants and all that stuff. And all these doctors are like, man, you don't sound too good. I think you need an MRI, man. That doesn't sound right. And, yeah, that was nuts. But that was such a blessing that I went to that yoga class. I'm so glad. So I'm going to do a little PSA here. This is, did you know that 102.3 FM WHIV LP New Orleans has been broadcasting for the past 5 years? We are able to honor independent voices with your support. From now until January 6th, WHIV merchandise is 25% off. T-shirts, hoodies, fanny packs, and more make for great gifts. And it's or treat yourself. And I finally got my black tank top. I ordered it the other day. I was like, man, I'm gonna go get that. But yeah, and treat yourself, man. It's Christmas, so it's a great little gift. And they look really sharp. The logo is like an old school microphone, lightning bolts. It's white typically on a black t-shirt or the reverse of that. We both look pretty sharp. I'm preferable to the black merchandise. Simply go to WHIV.org and click store. That's WHIV.org. Thanks, y'all. We are not a radio station we are not a radio station with a mission. We are a mission with a radio station. And then their catchphrase, Cecilia, is this: end all wars. So we did an episode, not on this show, but on another one, Listen to Us Live, which comes on right after this one, about how we would actually perpetuate that to decide how would you end all wars. And I think it boiled down to a very personal thing, like basically managing thyself, get your own kitchen in order, kind of, and kitchen soup, kind of, be loving. Your choice. Yeah, well, being loving to yourself, and just kind of perpetuate. If you did that, then you wouldn't be joining. If everybody did that, right? So it's a very personal. It's kind of hard to get masses to do. Oh, I guess it's not, but I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? Ending all wars. It's pretty lofty, huh?
It is pretty lofty.
Pretty lofty.
Yeah.
I would just say we focus on making peace with ourselves, right?
That's it.
There you go. Clean your own kitchen. Or is that maybe that's not the term.
Clean your own bathroom.
Don't get me started on that. I got my mom coming, so I'm trying to spruce up. Because she comes in and she just will work herself. She'll clean, and I was like, I don't want you doing that. So So I think I made an arrangement with her when she comes to town, because I'm going to meet her for Christmas, and then she wants to come back. So it's going to be double vacays, but that's kind of cool. And the poor thing, she gets real worried about me. Of course, I'm her baby, and your babies get cancer. I can only imagine. I got 2 girls, and that would just be, that would be tough. That would be very tough. But you just want your kids happy and healthy.
So have you asked your mom how she deals with it?
She went very, I'm not sure she likes the word religious, but she got very into Jesus, and it's not, she used to be, I think, a Catholic, but we never really did church much. We did it a little bit when I was younger, but this really changed. You know how when you have somebody, people start to make deals. So I think Mom made some, she was doing a lot to praying and then resorted back to that. I'm not really on the same page with her on that, but I try and be pretty easy with it. Though I think a lot of my personal, little things that I kind of take with myself are very synced up with that. Kind of like, I do believe kind of in an afterlife, but it's so less of what I identify typically as myself, like art or the passions that I have, my love interests, stuff like that, that it really sheds you. When you're talking about like your real awareness, I mean, it's pretty much like a bloody spirit kind of where you're, it's such a, I think so much of what we culturally have been taught to see ourselves as is pretty much this ego. Like making more, getting more for ourselves. I mean, really that whole survival thing, it's a very me thing, which very much syncs up. Ego-based. And, So I think that kind of syncs up, because then you can switch things. And then the God thing is, I just don't really kind of believe in the personification of everything. Like, God is supposed to be everything, every single thing, the Alpha, Omega. So if it's everything, it's no thing, and you wouldn't really put it in a box as like a male where it would have genitalia or something. I mean, that seems kind of weird. Or like it goes to have sex with virgins to have a child or something. I just couldn't. I can't. I think it would be such a blessing to have that kind of, because it would give you like this structure. I mean, otherwise you're just kind of winging it. You know what I'm saying? So, but I just don't, and I can't fake it. You know what I'm saying? And but I think there's there can be a lot of beauty into it. But then I worry some about the aspect of, it seems to really perpetuate a lot of pain too, and a lot of just hurt, like a crucifix. I don't know.
So do you want to talk a little bit about your belief system in relationship with God and cancer, and the cancer?
I think it all kind of interrelates. I mean, all this stuff has been me kind of, because I was constantly being told that, because my cancer, the first cancer that I had was a GBM, and they gave me 6 months to live on that, and that was a pretty typical, prognosis for it. I mean, that wasn't like them being negative. That was just the way it was, and it may still be pretty close to that. I had brain origin cancer, so it did not metastasize from my body into my brain. It started in my brain. And why were we talking about that?
Because I asked
religion.
You
how that syncs up.
The relationship of God.
Yeah, well, I had a lot of people telling me, well, God saved you for a reason. And I was like, then it made me start to think, okay, all right. So I started thinking, what reason could there possibly be? Like, to do what? You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like maybe the only way I could come away with was that it's to be appreciative of the moment and stuff like that. It was a real simple stuff. Like, there ain't nothing I'm going to do, like, cure cancer. I mean, you're still going to die. The important thing is making peace with the process, being healthy, as healthy as you can, and you're going to die one way or the other. So if it's going to be, some people get such dramatic cancer that they either can't treat it or think their way out of it. You just die, and that happens, and that's okay. It's odd.
But focus a little bit.
Okay, sorry.
closely to your relationship and your belief system of God
Yeah.
in relationship to the brain cancer that you acquired.
Well, I don't think like God gave me brain cancer, and I don't know that I really. I guess I believe in God, but it's so much everything that it's nothing. So I can't really. I don't like. I ask the universe for things like that, and it's almost like, well, I had this theory, now I might be slipping away from it. I had that theory where everything is just connected, where molecule wise, like if you were to take a magnifying glass, you look at this table or our hand, a certain it's going to almost be spinning into each other or something like that, and but I don't know how much things are all connected, because I've been watching this guy on YouTube and he's talking about the ether, and that was something that kind of got almost shunned by most modern science via like Einstein and all that kind of stuff. But this guy is going back, and Tesla, he's going back and relating to that, where they're pretty much that the ether is kind of like basically a shadow. And I don't know all the terminology they use for it, but it is not like it's not really nothing, but it's kind of like nothing. I don't know. It's an ether.
How is that related to God?
Because I was making the analogy that everything's connected. So I don't really know that everything's connected because of this guy who was just coming on. So it's been kind of changing my thing, but I'm not the greatest with science. And I also like to say on this radio show that I am definitely not a doctor, and I'm just kind of doing the best I can with what I got on this. And yeah, so it's I'm just talking from my experience and just what I'm pulling away from it. But I guess from God, I guess I don't want to say it because maybe it doesn't sound as nice.
Okay. Okay.
But I guess I'm not really into God. And I think if I was, I would think, God, if it's like the dude that's in the Bible, I'm saying, oh, you're not acting right. I mean, all this, there's a lot of ego in that, like to make things to praise you and something like that. It's like, no. And it's also God made me. So if I'm not digging him, it's like, dude, you got to look at what you did. I didn't make myself, I don't think. So look at the mirror. And everything, most things you go back to the mirror. Like a lot of things that I catch myself calling out or not liking in other people are really, you got to do a little reality check and sit down and say, all right, you're kind of projecting here, buddy. And yeah, I don't know. I think I believe in. Yeah, and I also noticed that with church, it seemed like everybody was fixated on like going to heaven, And it's like, no, that's not the point. You should do righteous things because it's nice and because it's just you should. You don't need any like reward for it. You do good because it's good. You don't need to. Like that's like I didn't like that aspect of it, and
the relationship between cancer and God?
Well, I don't know if we've established God yet. God is everything. So God is cancer. God is me. God is you. So if you want to say that's God, I'll go along with that. God is like what exists. Because if God is everything, then we can go with that. So it's just what is.
Yeah.
As much as what's cancer. Yeah, and in the relationship with that, I guess I kind of think of the cancer as me being. Now my doctor said, "No, Rob, it's just genetic. It's not you. You didn't give yourself." He was like kind of laughing at me in a sweet way, but he was kind of laughing at me because I told him just my last meeting with him because I made a list because I was gonna interview him like this, and then I just kind of copped out at the last minute, and then I took some notes, and he's like, "No, Rob, you did not give yourself cancer, or something. That's not how to say." But then he doesn't even buy the whole eating for health and stuff, and I kind of disagree with him on that. But I'm not into like debating people. I just kind of do my own thing. Though he did tell me to quit drinking alcohol when I take my chemo, and I haven't been drinking. I've been a pretty big time drinker. I haven't been drinking for maybe 2 months or a month, which is really unusual, and I don't really miss it. Though I do like to do magic mushrooms every now and then, but microdose.
And so, what is his idea about the relationship of alcohol and cancer?
I don't know. I didn't really go into details, but I just assumed that somehow it either lessens the effect of the chemo or it
Or lessens the immune system?
It lessens the immune system, which typically is a good thing. I mean, that's typically, as I understood chemo, is that it's trying to get you as weak as possible. So it's trying to take either you out or the cancer out, whichever first. I mean, it's really poison they're pumping you in with. It's pretty bad stuff. I mean, like I said, I'm not a doctor, but that's how I kind of figured it. Especially how it made me feel, and I saw what it did just in my body. It was pretty incredible. Pretty incredible. Yeah, and that stuff, and I think that's one of the things, it's like with, maybe why I'm not hearing so much about survivors is because people like me, maybe, that you get through it. I mean, heck, if you're healthy, you don't really want to go back and stay in that environment. I mean, it's just not you just get out of there and say, okay, I'm good, I'm healthy. You don't call your doctor, they're not harassing you. You're out of the system.
Could you not be an example for people about the perception of what cancer is about and how we can relate to cancer? Could you not be an example for the rest of people?
That's what I'm trying. I mean, it's kind of the point of this, Cecilia. That's the part of this radio show.
Oh, okay.
Well, that's one of them. Okay. Well,
can we do it more out loud?
Oh, I'm not doing it? You don't think that's... You can tell me. I mean, you don't think that's really... I'm not expressing it in the right way or something? Or not the right way, but a clear manner?
I hope that you can reach many, many more people than I have the knowledge of you reaching.
Okay, yeah. I mean, we're talking probably like 1 million people right now.
Oh.
No, I don't know.
Well, that's great then. That's great. I thought you were just talking
about,
to the neighborhood.
It's about the numbers, yeah. Well, I don't know. I mean, I tried that some, and I've just kind of lost, kind of like what I just described, where I just kind of want to live my life too and play. I don't want to, yeah.
Could you not go to meetings where people that is affected by cancer?
I did some of that.
Have you?
Some of it, well, they turn into, and a lot of people like that. And I even did years ago, I did like an AA thing, and not that relates to this, but I mean that the group kind of thing. And I don't know, I think a lot of that stuff you got to watch, I think the ego thing in that too. I did, I volunteered at the children's hospital in town, and that was kind of cool. I went around, because I wrote a kid's book after the brain cancer that I had.
Good for you.
And so that was like a rehab for me. So then I did some volunteer work where I would like, kind of, I guess, sort of like not a candy striper, but I had a little art cart, and I'd roll it around. I'd go to visit kids and their parents and stuff and talk about colors and art. And I guess even about writing a book or illustrating something for the older kids. And it was pretty fun. But then I didn't really like the rules at the hospital. I didn't really like that. And then I noticed I started kind of doing my own thing and taking my cart. Because I wanted to be around kids dealing really with specific cancer and stuff like that. Something that I could... Like, I always feel like on this kind of radio show or talking about it, I can at least... And I can't mess up. Because I'm at least sharing my experience. So it may not be accurate. And a lot of stuff I don't even remember right. Like, I'll have a lot of people really debate me on what happened at a certain time period or what the order... And I really don't have... so much of a memory, but then I can recall things really, a lot of detail. It really varies a lot, but I guess it does with everybody. I mean, this really having brain cancer and your brain function changing, it can be so many different variables to it, and it's so I guess so subjective. It's hard to compare, like placement on the brain. Like I said, the first cancer that I had was in my right frontal lobe, and then this area, which I can't really say is cancer, because dead tissue and tumors look at the same, basically. They pull up the same on MRI. And where this one's located is over the brain stem, which is an area they really don't want to drill in because it's just too sensitive. And I guess it might be I'll have to ask him next time. It might be the one place where cancer can metastasize out of your brain and go into your body. Because they did a full spinal MRI of me, and it didn't show up anything, so that was cool.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so that was a painful. I usually MRIs. I'm like, okay, cool. I just get to relax. It's kind of like going to Reiki. Yeah, so I get to relax, and I get to have some quiet time where I don't have to feel like I have to do anything. I mean, this is it. That's such a blessing too, because I get so wrapped up with doing things, I'm constantly doing stuff, and it's almost like a bad habit. But I mean, that's something I think in our culture that's pretty well.
Are you meditating?
I am not. Well, I kind of am. Not. I'd like to do more of that. Yeah. Can always meditate more.
It may be a good idea to
I
establish
think so too. Yeah.
the discipline.
Yeah. Well, I just started doing some exercise, like establishing that. But I'm breaking it now because this is like supposedly my travel time, so I didn't do this stuff. Because I try and get out, because I get a little too cooped up at my house, and that's a very common. The other group that I'm kind of a part of, it's all with brain injury, and a lot of people have acquired. That's me, with like a tumor. And the other people are traumatic, which is just basically like a head injury. And so it seems a very common thread where people start to get a little bit more isolated. Just because a lot of times things are awkward. My thing is pretty good. I had a really difficult time doing a lot of things, remembering things, and functioning. But my brain is, I'm pretty happy with myself right now. I'm pretty.
You're acute.
Huh?
Your brain
Yeah.
is very acute.
And I think it's I think my brain, that first cancer came on very slowly, and I always had a theory like it moved stuff. Like it was like, okay, we got something spooky here, so it moved around. Because I've had a few doctors say that the amount of tissue loss that they removed from my brain and the type of cancer that I had, it just doesn't really add up. That I have so many of my motor skills and cognitive function. I still drop out a lot of stuff, and I'll forget more than. But I mean, I am getting a little older. But
that's a good excuse, Rob.
Yeah, it is. Well, I mean, cancer is a pretty good excuse too. I mean, you gotta watch
sure
it.
Is.
Yeah. What's it? Oh, and the other thing that I kind of noticed, it wasn't why I got this more recent MRI. It was mainly because of insurance, because I was switching insurance policies and I had new doctors. And because I hadn't had any issue for like 13 years. Like my MRIs were all coming back the same in my whole brain. And then this last one, I was kind of forgetting why I was talking about this. I had a point I was trying to make about... because I noticed I was getting vertigo. And I was losing some of my motor skills. So my dad's been a big help on me navigating the medical process with this. So I think I brought him on, I let him know, and I did. As soon as I found out, they had a suspect spot over the brainstem, what they saw. And so they were thinking that was causing, because that's over your cerebellum, but I think your brainstem area, and then we were talking about, what is it, the I'm going to say it wrong. I kept saying it like a penis, but it's like a pineal gland.
Pineal.
Pineal gland. So that's brainstem, right?
No.
No, it's not? Okay, no. Yeah. I really kept a pretty ignorant, kind of by choice.
You still do, Rob.
Yeah, well, I don't want to know about, kind of what you were saying, of like, what do you call it, calling it my thing or something like that?
Yeah.
Like, that was kind of my practice. It's like, I'm not really claiming this. I don't really know how to say it. I don't want to know how to say it. I don't really care. Right?
I can tell.
Yeah, I don't sit up at nights reading the latest. I mean, I'll look at some of it sometimes, but it's interesting. It's really cued me in on some conspiracies and stuff too, and because it's just like, wow, because a lot of the doctors' studies are pretty faulty. They really are. You have to really look at how they started their analysis, what the criteria was. I'm hearing a lot. Like the more I delve into it, it seems pretty suspect. A lot of what they're doing, and it's practice. Like that was when I went to go through the process. I was like, man, these people are really practicing this because they don't really know what they're doing. Yeah, and well, that's why I think it goes back to You can't go wrong. Definitely do all the medical stuff. Like, there's a lot of holistic things, and I think that's a beautiful thing. But I don't know. Like, my personal thing was like, do everything that I can. Try not to do things that negate future stuff to the last minute. Like, hold that off. Definitely do all the holistic stuff on top of it. Definitely positive thinking and all that.
Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a beautiful thing. You should be doing that anyway, even if you're healthy.
And the gratitude.
Yeah, and the gratitude. Practice that all the time.
And forgiveness.
And no judging.
No judging.
Yeah, that falls right back at you. All right, so find the other one here. So what are some other beautiful things that we can share with our practice? I told you I became a Reiki, right? But I copped out on the. It was so cool. I had just gone through a divorce, and I was living on my dad's sailboat over in Mandeville. Really, I love living on that dang boat. And so it was like, at night it would jostle, rock back and forth constantly. Then you hear the howlers kind of clanging on the deck, and it was like a long distance. What's the thing where they do the thing where you have to have another Reiki kind of do it to you, like long distance, they can do all that. Anyway, so I booked it when I was like, because she wanted like an hour or something, or wanted to know when you were doing it, and that was pretty fun. And I, of course, thought of you all the time, so going through that process, because it was kind of like I was honoring you in a way or something like that. And yeah, it was just being appreciative and finding joy. I was just kind of getting out of a relationship that just wasn't healthy, and so it just felt, I don't know, it was just really fun, like a focus, and it was like had that mystery to it, and yeah, that was pretty cool. And then I copped out with the teaching. I got right up to the part where there's a part with Reiki where after you get this indoctrination, I can't remember the term for it. There's some kind of thing where another Reiki has to kind of pass it on to you, sort of. And then after that, her book, and it was a really cool thing. It was into these kind of ancient drawings that you basically symbols. Sorry, that you would write out and do. It was like I think it related to long distance Reiki. Part of it.
We use them all the time.
Yeah, all the time.
Not just
no.
distance.
Okay. Well, that chapter, maybe the chapter after the symbols, was long distance Reiki.
Okay.
And with the symbols, I was doing pretty good because I liked it because it was kind of like an art thing.
Yeah.
And then I don't know what happened. Then I just kind of lost focus, and I was like, I became a Reiki, so I'm cool. Kind of have, and I kind of enjoy that. Even with my art, there's something I like about not finishing things in a way, but making peace with that, because there's so much we get wrapped up on getting somewhere, and it's really, like the cliche, it's the journey. You know what I'm saying? Right. It's all just a journey. There's never any destination, really. And, yeah.
And enjoying through the process.
Yeah, and just
You're
really,
having fun.
Huh? Yeah, and having fun. You can have fun with cancer.
Yeah, you are having fun with it.
I am. Heck yeah. Heck yeah. All right, might do some songage here. Can't have dead air, so we gotta keep talking. We have one guy in our other group. That's his thing. He'll sit there, and if anybody's quiet, he'll go dead air. He's like, man,
makes everybody laugh.
Yeah, no, it's like gets kind of mean after a while, but and it's like, well, man, you could just as easily say something as you could say dead air. But I don't know. He's a hoot. But yeah, so I was looking for my Monkey Mind song. Oh, did I read two things, or I just read one? Okay. All right. Well, I'm gonna look up here and see if I can find that real quick. But I'm not doing too good. So what else could we add to our practice, Cecilia? What else could we advise or recommend for our loyal listeners? I'd love to have people try and contact me. Like Cecilia just introduced me to this woman that. Sorry, I'm trying to look. I just can't really do two things at once. But so Cecilia just found a woman that had cancer online. I think you were saying she was maybe from Australia.
She's in Australia.
Okay.
And she has cancer.
So I
And
kind of
it's
tried to
really-
reach out to her.
Yeah, 'cause she's not feeling
So
well.
please do track me down either on Facebook or the radio station. So my name's Rob Owen, and anyway, I'm going to read one more PSA here, and this is something I just did. 102.3 FM WHIV. I did all this stuff. I ordered the T-shirt. I did this thing. So I'm a loyal little listener. 102.3 FM WHIV proudly presents F-No, also known as Film New Orleans. We are now accepting submissions for the Health Justice Film Festival, which will occur May 29th through the May 31st at the Broad Theater. We aim to generate discussions and mobilize audiences around health, justice, and through impactful films and moderated panels. Do you have a film to submit? Would you like to get involved? We are looking for sponsors, partners, and volunteers. Submission and event information is available on our website, wh-no.org. No.org. That's F. I'm kind of stumbling here. -no.org. So again, that's basically just F-no.org. And I just sent one into them. I did that this morning. Mine is kind of about a guy with brain injury that can't remember his notes, and one of them is a phone number, and he calls it. I maybe show that to you. All right, so I want to try and find this thing here now. Bear with me, guys. I'm going to try and do some monkey mind here. And typically we'd be playing the monkey mind, but I forgot to do that. Say la vie.
I don't know what that means.
What? Oh, that's what that thing just said? I don't know what that means. Fine. Alright, now I gotta get it on here. A lot of buttons to push here. This is not easy for a spacey dude.
You're labeling yourself a spacey dude?
Yeah, is that bad? Yeah, that is bad. God, see, I need you around me more. I'm constantly doing this to people, but a lot of times I don't catch my own. It's almost just like talk or something, you know how that goes. Bad habits. Just like it's like an inertia. Okay, so this is Monkey Mind. What am I doing here? I had so much doing this song. Even recently, it's getting more and more fun to do it. I got another song I'm working on. It's called Kinky. I get lonely, I gotta pass it to them. Alright, we're going on time.
This chimpanzee wearing a
Yeah,
suit with the doors
this
in
phone's
his bar.
low.
He tells a
I'm
joke
doing
to the
good.
bartender. He's also a chimpanzee. The joke is about a toucan.
6 minutes ago.
Well, just shut up a little. When the song ends, I can kill it. Because it gives him a little space.
I want you to love me.
Monkey, love you when I feel you. So he's like talking to his monkey mind, the whole kind of psycho.
So mean, ooh, what your mind on, my little monkey. Watch out, those goddamn monkeys bite, I tell you.
You need to start asking, please,
I want you to bite me, monkey. I don't really care, you're not mine, all
Take it
mine.
away.
You with me all the time. Hey, monkey,
that persists. You're with me all the
feel
time.
you,
Well, you gotta listen to the rest of the lyrics, though.
but we ain't one.
This is me going through that process with Sean. Like you said, you're with me all the time, but we ain't one.
Your voice sounds pretty.
Okay, then we get the phone call. Okay. I think on that, maybe we'll say that's the cue. Thank you so much, Cecilia. I love you
Thank
so
you,
much.
Rob. I
And
love
you're such
you
a
as well.
blessing. And that's going to be it for the Monkey Mind. Take care of yourself, and please contact me if y'all have friends, family dealing with brain cancer or really anything else. It's easy. Take care.